recent decades, Israeli wine has undergone a quality revolution and achieved international recognition at the highest levels. To quote Hugh Johnson, the world's most famous wine writer, recently, with plantings of classic varieties in cool, high-altitude regions, a wine revolution took root. Continued investment in modern technology and international trained winemakers have had dramatic effect. But what type of varieties are being planted? Perhaps, in the future, Israel will have a flagship variety, such as Malbec is for Argentina or Zinfandel for California. But as of now, what Israel has is a variety of varieties, a result of the youthfulness and experimental nature of its young modern wine industry and the international training of its winemakers. Classic French varieties, the noble grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, were planted during the rebirth of Israeli wine in the late 1800s, influenced by the Frenchman Baron Rothschild. These varieties remain very popular today and provide the grapes for quality wines from small boutique wineries like Meshar to major producers like Barkan. The most popular classical varieties in Israel are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Shiraz. However, Barkan, like many other Israeli producers, is not limited to just one style or variety, but takes advantage of Israel's extraordinary diversity of terroir by planting many different varieties, including indigenous grapes, in regions best suited for each.
The vast majority of our wines in Barkan are made of international varieties such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, Chardonnay and others. But I think it's this unique combination with Marawi, Argaman and in the future hopefully other local varieties that will bring the visitor, the tourist in Israel, the full experience of international style and local style that we are rediscovering and redeveloping actually.
The classic French varieties were followed by Rhone and Mediterranean grapes like Carignan, Shiraz, Grenache, and Petit Syrah. Some people believe the future of Israeli wine is in the revival of these traditional Mediterranean varieties and southern Rhone-style blends, as climatically, these grapes seem to be a natural fit for Israel. In fact, it is even possible that the varieties planted in Rhone originated in Israel.
Here we can find a truly unique expression of Mediterranean style and a particular unique style of Israeli wines. These areas really enjoy the Mediterranean cooling effect and maintain their freshness and elegant character, and sometimes even I would say this unique spicy minty, what the French often refer to as garrigue, these herbal, these Mediterranean herbs. We can often feel that in Israeli wines.
One of the biggest proponents of the idea that Israel's terroir and climate is best suited to Rhone varieties is Jacques Capsuto Vignobles, a winery that is 100% dedicated to producing Rhone blends.
The soil here is very shallow, as you can see, a lot of stone, very stonish and shallow soil, which allows to control the growth, the vigorous of the growth. You see, it's a terra rossa. It's quite a very unique terroir. It's an excellent terroir. But again, once we are focusing on Rhone varieties, which is very similar in that area, it's very similar to those conditions.
So we brought the Rhone back to Israel.
Yes, we brought the varieties which we believe that came from this region and moved into Italy and later on to France, and we brought them back to our country, and this is where we go. We grow them and we do it very successfully.
Israel has even created its own Mediterranean-style variety. Argaman is a thoroughly local grape, developed in Israel in the 1980s as a cross between Carignan and the Portuguese grape Suzão. Currently, It is planted mainly in the coastal region and Judean plain. It has become very popular and is used mostly in blends, although some producers like Jezreel make single varietal wines from Argaman.
The winery, Jezreel Valley Winery, is a winery dedicated to make true Israeli wines with Israeli and local identity. The flagship wine of the winery is the Argaman. Argaman is a very unique variety, indigenous to Israel. This is 100% Israeli wine. And what makes Argaman so unique is that it is just perfect for the Israeli climate. The taste is different. It is very fresh. The acidity is very nice, elegant, a little bit fruity. Wines that is just perfect for Mediterranean food.
Jezreel also produces wine from local indigenous grapes like Dabuki, a white variety used in its newest Pet Nat blend. Dabuki is just one of hundreds of grapes that are indigenous to Israel, with many dating back to thousands of years ago. Fascinating research is being conducted on these ancient grapes by winemakers seeking new varieties to appeal to a modern world, by scientists interested in tracing through DNA the relationship between ancient and modern varieties and recreating the spread of viticulture throughout the Mediterranean, and by historians interested in the question of, what did the ancients drink? Leading the research on ancient indigenous grapes is Dr. Shivi Drori of Ariel University.
We actually did a very careful survey of the whole country. We divided it into squares and we started walking the whole country, mostly where we have rivers or creeks, where there were ancient villages. We actually sampled 600 different grapevines in the wild. And after analyzing the DNA, we have in our hands 82 unique Israeli varieties.
Rekanati Winery is at the forefront of producing varietal wines from ancient indigenous grapes like Marawi and Batuni, wines that they feel best express Israel's unique terroir.
So we have here a few rows where each row is different variety, which actually don't even have names. They are just numbered. They were part of the project that we're doing together with the University of Ariel with Dr. Shivi Drori, where he found in remote places in Israel, climbing on trees, hiding in rocks, native vines that survive all those years in its natural habitat. And we took them, we propagate them, and now we planted them here in the vineyard. Each row is different, and we anxiously waiting to see what will come out from these. Maybe not all of them will make good wine, but I believe that some of them will make in the future good wine. And as you can see, there's already a beautiful cluster here that is forming, and we will see in a few years we'll make some small-scale wines and taste them, and hopefully would make some more indigenous species that we can work with.
King David had his own sommelier and viticulturalist looking after his cellar and vineyards. And Jesus changed water into wine at Cana in the Galilee. What sort of wine did King David and Jesus drink? Researchers are searching for the answer by collecting and cataloging every wild or cultivated grape in Israel. Wines with names like Jandali, Dabuki, Marawi are being tested and released.
And here we can see, just in the wilds, we can see one of these ancient varieties growing spread on the ground. This is one of the Hamdani grape varieties, and actually the wine in my hand is made out of Hamdani and Jandali. These two varieties were mentioned in ancient scripts as grapes that were used for winemaking at the time of the Second Temple, so we're talking about around the year 0.
Dr. Drury is the winemaker at GVA'OT Winery, where he makes acclaimed wines from modern classical grapes. At the same time, the bounty and possibility of Israel's indigenous grapes fascinate him, and he looks forward to creating a new direction for the wine industry for GVA'OT and all of Israel using these ancient varieties.
82 varieties. Of course, not all of them are suitable for wine production. They don't have enough acid, they don't accumulate enough sugar, or they don't have color, or they don't have aromas. But around 20 of them make beautiful wines, white and red wines. Actually, most of the varieties are white, which is very interesting by itself. Putting that into our collection in Ariel University, we keep them from harm's path. We actually see it as a rescue collection. And this collection will enable us to produce some clean plant material varieties and start growing back these ancient varieties and make our ancient ancestors' wines again.
So, is Israel's wine future in its past, in one of the ancient indigenous varieties? Or is it in one of the modern Mediterranean grapes? Or perhaps in a local, as yet to be developed grape like Argaman? No one knows, but it will be an exciting journey to try all the contenders along the way.
This is going to be the future of the wine of Israel, hopefully.